Montana's news leader, this is the MTN Noon News.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for joining us on your MTN Statewide headlines this noon. I'm Jeanelle Slade. Well, it's another day of firsts for hundreds of hospitals across the country as more Pfizer coronavirus vaccine gets delivered, and another vaccine is now a step closer to FDA approval. This as the U.S. death toll from COVID-19 surpassed a devastating milestone. Naomi Ruchim reports.
Vaccinations began early at University Hospital in Newark, New Jersey, as more than 600 frontline employees get their first doses of Pfizer's COVID-19 vaccine. Nurse Maritza Beniquez was the first and overjoyed.
Thank you, God. I didn't feel it. There's no pain. I feel great. I'm happy that, that in another 2 months, month and a half, I won't have to be afraid to go into a room anymore.
Newark received the state's first batch of shots because the city has continued to be a COVID hotspot. Many of the residents here are poor and black, making them some of the most vulnerable. The hospital itself lost 11 employees. And there may be more vaccine doses made available as early as next week. Today, federal regulators said Moderna's vaccine appears to be safe and highly effective. A panel of outside experts will offer its recommendation Thursday.
We're really now starting to see the light at the end of the tunnel that is going to ultimately get us through this. But in the meantime, we have to adhere to the public health measures in order to blunt the acceleration of these terrible numbers that we hear every day.
The U.S. hit another grim milestone of more than 300,000 deaths since the start of the pandemic, and California shattered a single-day case record, more than 42,000, and hospitalizations are up 250% in the last month.
The positives are it's almost over. The negatives are it's going to be a tough haul for at least the next 90 days. I think we're going to be, at capacity over.
Health experts expect cases will grow, fueled by holiday travel, family gatherings, and a failure to wear masks and social distance. Naomi Ruchim, CBS News, Newark, New Jersey.
And Georgia officials say a Santa and Mrs. Claus may have exposed about 50 children to the coronavirus. Officials say the couple felt fine at the last week's event, but tested positive just a few days later. Well, health officials at Billings Clinic are busy administering the vaccine today. The first doses go to a team of 5 people, who includes a respiratory therapist, paramedic, environmental services staff member, nurse, and physician. The CDC requires the first allocations of the vaccine go to healthcare workers and long-term care facilities. The first shipment includes 975 doses. And also just up the street in Billings, Governor Steve Bullock will join the team at St. Vincent Healthcare this afternoon right around 2 o'clock as workers administer the first doses there. Well, the very first shipments of the Pfizer vaccine to arrive in Montana went to workers at Bozeman Health. The people vaccinated will receive their second dose in 2 weeks. Bozeman Health expects a new shipment every week. And in Kalispell, health officials say the first supply of COVID-19 vaccines will arrive Wednesday. They plan to distribute Thursday. The COVID-19 death toll across Montana has jumped another 28 this noon, bringing the statewide total to 869. Health authorities report 15 additional deaths just out of Yellowstone County. Now, this large number is mainly a reconciliation and update in Yellowstone County of additional deaths between September and December, the state's largest county. Now, total cases across the state is now nearing 75,000, but active cases have dropped below 9,000. New numbers are putting the death toll from the pandemic into perspective. The CDC tracks excess deaths and says more than 290,000 additional Americans died in 2020 than in a typical year. On average in the U.S., 7,700 people die every day. In Montana, the daily death average is 24. Well, several state legislatures are approving dentists to administer the COVID-19 vaccine. The federal government recommended states expand their list of vaccine providers back in October. Dentists may be able to reach even more people than traditional doctors. About 9% of Americans see a dentist every year, but not a physician. And 2020 is shaping up to become the Earth's hottest year on record. NASA and NOAA predict this month will average out warmer than usual. For some states, 2020 has already become their hottest year. That includes Florida, Virginia, and Maryland. Meanwhile, California saw its hottest fall. And it's time now to check in on the weather scene with Ed McIntosh. What do we got going on out there? It doesn't look too bad.
No, well, we're talking about it being such a warm year. What we're really concerned about between now and Christmas, right? Everybody wants to know about travel weather and whether they're going to have a white Christmas. Here's the overall leanings right now across the country. Big areas, we start looking between the 22nd and 29th, either side of Christmas, of warmer than average temperatures across the northern portion of the state. Now, as far as precipitation goes, well, we're looking at warm readings, especially into the eastern plains. We're really not seeing any big indication. If we could see some rain or snow, it could be about average. Drier, certainly when we look into western Montana and across much of the southern portion of the country as well. Maybe not a white Christmas, but in the short term, wind and warming. We'll talk about that in a few minutes.
All right, thanks so much, Ed. Well, it's official. Yellowstone National Park is now open to snow coaches and snowmobiles. But of course, the pandemic is changing activities. Dining is at 50% capacity and 10 o'clock closing times throughout the park. But activities such as ski races and ice fishing are still happening. The Grizzly Wolf Discovery Center is also open. Well, through the pandemic, some are finding savings to their insurance bills. Bankrate is encouraging people to take a fresh look at home and auto policies. For example, if you added safety features to your home or are driving less, you could be saving money. The Rocky Mountain Area Agency on Aging is gifting robotic pets to senior citizens. The companion pets were bought with CARES Act funding and a donation from Blue Cross Blue Shield. 25 different cats and dogs are available and looking for homes. Officials say these pets are especially helpful for seniors who have Alzheimer's or dementia.
Of course, we're worried about social isolation. Folks that are aging in place and maybe are doing okay on their own, but they're still going to get lonely. So these pets are really going to help with loneliness, stress, anxiety.
We at first were pretty skeptical about these pets, but now that we have them and now that we're seeing them getting in the hands of people and seeing what they do, seeing is believing kind of thing, because people are really enjoying and taking off with them.
Now, there is a short application to fill out if you or someone in your care qualifies for one of the robot pets. Well, we have more ahead on your new news today. A new species that could pose threat to the greenery in many Montanans' backyards. We check in with scientists looking to combat that threat. But first, meteorologist Ed McIntosh is in next with your statewide weather forecast. Don't go away.